Morning. Is this working? Yes, it is. Yeah, good. Welcome to you all. And we're here to celebrate life. And Elizabeth, it's your life that we're celebrating specifically today. And we thank you for the example of living that you have left us with. We are glad that today we're going to have an opportunity to hear something about that from various members of your family. We're here too to be with Philippa and Piers and their families as they process the physical lack of presence in the lives of people around us. We see you in every expression of life, in the trees, the rocks, the sea, everything. And we are blessed. So we entrust ourselves into that loving presence. And that is yourself. Now you've all got something to do today. I hope you're aware of that. The first thing you're going to please do is sing Amazing Grace. The words of the hymns that we're going to be using are on this leaflet that you've been given. So keep an eye on the leaflet because there's some verses missing, and if you know the hymn off by heart, we want you to be in sync with everybody else. Now Judy's going to come and read to us from Paul's letter to the Romans.
A reading from Romans chapter 5, verses 1 to 5. A message of peace and hope. Therefore, since we have been justified through faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ, through whom we have gained access by faith into this grace in which we now stand. And we boast in the hope of the glory of God. Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. And hope does not put us to shame, because God's love has been poured out into our hearts through the Holy Spirit, who has been given to us. Hear the word of the Lord.
When you're singing, because you're going to sing again, when you're singing, know that the hymns that have been chosen are favorites of Elizabeth. So you join with her in the singing of these hymns. And the next one is How Great Thou Art. Thank you. And now we're going to have some memoirs shared with us by Philippa and Shane, and also by Michael and Claire, and welcome Michael and Claire and all you others who are with us from afar. We're glad of the technology and those who help with it to make this possible. And so we're going to hear from Michael and Claire as well. But Philippa. Thank you.
How do we begin to honor this amazing woman, daughter, wife, mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother? Born in Cape Town in 1925, Mum was the beloved only daughter between two brothers, Dennis and Graham. She was something of a socialite before meeting her husband Robin on St. James Beach, 2 years before World War II broke out. Robin, known as Bider, we don't know how or why, but Shane started calling him Bider, and Bider it became. He was known as Bider to his grandchildren. He joined the Air Force. He served as a Spitfire pilot, survived the war, and returned to marry Mum. Mum recounted how she made her trousseau lingerie from his sky blue silk parachute. Robin and Elizabeth's love story was one of high adventure, some hardship, and many challenges, overcome due to Mum's loyalty, her faith, and her commitment to her family. Their son, my brother Piers, was the first to marry, producing 2 sons to carry on the Pittard name. Shane is here today, and his brother is looking on, Grant, in London. These 4, sorry, I've missed a bit. I followed, I married Mike, and produced Claire and James, both now living in Australia. These 4 grandchildren will attest to the love and the fun-filled times with Gran and Bider. On her 90th birthday, Claire wrote to her grandmother thanking her for being the most amazing gran that a girl could wish for. She wrote, "You've been a wonderful example of selfless loving, generous giving, and hard work. Nothing was ever too much for you to do for us. But you always insisted on us doing things that we could for ourselves. I remember cleaning dishes and doing washing in your old top loader long before I was doing chores at home." Really? "You taught me to bake your famous cakes with such patience. You resisted the urge to take over and allowed me to learn through my own mistakes. I love you, Gran. Rest in peace, in the arms of our Lord." And Shane is now going to add his and Grant's memories.
Gran made the best adventures for us either at Picketberg, where she sent us into that huge shed filled with hay bales, from which we built forts for acorn fights, or fishing on the Breda River. Gran was a successful fisherwoman after bagging the biggest fish. We have fond memories of Gran sending us off in the early hours of the morning with Bider to go fishing, while she prepared her famous toasted bacon and egg sandwiches, and once ready, we would hear her resounding a cooey, which was our cue that breakfast was ready. We loved going with her to rescue seabirds, watching her wash oil penguins, or feeding them in a pen in the back garden of her home in St. James. It always made us laugh when we would arrive to collect an injured bird, and there would be a strapping ranger too scared to go near the bird that was twisting its head from side to side at them. Gran would walk straight up, distract the bird with her left hand, and grab it by the neck, by the back of the head, with the other, no fuss. We also enjoyed the trips to Sandkop to drop them off. You were ahead of your time, Gran, avoiding screen time for kids. We never watched TV at your house. That was reserved for Bider, watching National Geographic. Rather, you taught us tiddlywinks, drafts, card games, and of course the chocolate game. Memories that will last a lifetime. Love you, Gran. Here's a tribute from my brother in the UK. Gran, everyone I have spoken to says it's an end of an era, but for me, it's a start of another, one of storytelling and many happy memories. Our days of visiting Cape Town's historical sites, boathouse picnics, swims in Delbrook Pool, Christmas dinners at the table with the whole family, and getting the traditional reprimand for having my elbows on the table. The trips to Pittard and the Breda River, I smile and laugh at each one of them, as each place has its own small and special moments. My favorite time of the day was climbing into bed with you and Bida in the morning, with my latest Hardy Boy book, and Bida would get up to fetch us tea. About that, I do have something to confess. Sorry, Gran, but I was never a fan of rooibos. It was just that moment was special, so I drank it. You taught your family so much about respect, manners, about love for family, and love for animals. Thank you for everything, Gran. You will be truly missed, lovingly remembered. Love you, Grant. We'd also like to share an audio tribute to Gran from Mike Taylor, grandson-in-law, and Claire Swanton, Gran's only granddaughter.
Good morning. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mike Taylor. I'm Elizabeth's son-in-law, married to her daughter Philippa. I did not get off to a very good start with my affectionate name for Elizabeth. I started dating Philippa 55 years ago when she was just 15 and I was 22. These days, she could probably have had me jailed for that. On one occasion, I took Philippa home from a 21st birthday party at about 5 a.m. And judging from Elizabeth's reaction, I really thought I'd cooked my goose. However, I managed to redeem myself and we became very close and had a strong bond. Ma was a lady in the true sense of the word. She always behaved with impeccable manners and decorum. She was born in the same year as Elizabeth Windsor, better known as Queen Elizabeth II, and was her equal in style, class, and sense of duty and hard work. Ma was not overtly affectionate. She was not a hugger or a kisser. Her love language was acts of service, which she executed unstintingly and with great dedication, whether to her husband, her children, her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren, her friends, and even wider society. She was a stalwart of SANCOB, the not-for-profit organization dedicated to the preservation of coastal birds, engaged primarily with the rescue and rehabilitation of oil-soaked penguins due to oil spills at sea. She was never idle. Even relaxing at night in front of the TV, she would be constantly knitting, always for a charitable cause, either underprivileged people, children, or animals. Her love of animals, however, did not extend to fish, for she was a keen fisherman. But unlike many fishermen, including her husband Robin, Ma also gutted, scaled, and filleted the fish that she caught. Soon after meeting Robin, he was off to war, flying Spitfires over Europe, and she had to endure the agony of learning that he had been shot down over Albania. Fortunately, with the help of the local resistance, he was able to make it back to Allied lines in Italy and eventually back to Cape Town, where soon after the war, he and Elizabeth got married. In her early married life, she on occasion accompanied Robin on his crocodile hunting safaris in southern Angola, where she also did a lot of fishing. And she was often the first white woman ever seen by the local population. Elizabeth was a role model par excellence, whether as a daughter to her mother Mignon, a sister to her brothers Dennis and Graham, as a wife to Robin, as a mother to her children, Piers and Philippa, and as a grand to her grandchildren, Shane, Grant, Claire and James, and her great-grandchildren, Emma, Justin, Benjamin, Elizabeth, Sarah, and William. She was a committed Christian, not the flamboyant variety, but nevertheless devout and a follower of Jesus. She is surely now at peace. God bless Elizabeth.
Hi from Melbourne. I'm Claire, Gran's only granddaughter. I'm going to share some reflections of the last 20 years or so of Gran's life. In 1999, my mum, dad and my brother James moved to Australia after Dad was headhunted for a job here. I had already started my degree at UCT, so I stayed behind to finish and moved into a little apartment in Wynberg. Gran had me every week for dinner, and every time she sent me home, it was always with some cooked meals ready to warm up for myself during the week. She was still in the house in St. James, and I would love sitting on the balcony with her, and we'd chat while we watched the sea. When I joined my family in Melbourne in 2001, Gran's epic trans-global adventures began. The first time she made the journey would have been in her early 80s, and after a massive 24-hour journey, including a stopover and plane change in Singapore, she was ready to tour. I remember every time she came, she almost immediately got stuck into making mayonnaise and cucumber pickle. We had some great adventures with her in Australia. Every time she came, Mum and Dad took her away somewhere new. I didn't always get to go on these little trips, but her adventurous spirit never faded. She went camel riding and hot air ballooning, wine touring in the local wine areas around Melbourne, beach walking on the Great Ocean Road and ferry riding around Sydney. She also loved Tasmania and went there 2 or 3 times. In 2009, I got married and Gran made the journey over for the wedding. She arrived earlier enough for us to have lots of time together, and she was such a help. She did all the bouquets for me, my bridesmaids and my flower girls, and the corsages for all the men. She ran a tight ship with Mum and me helping her. It was such a fun day doing it all ourselves, and I remember thinking it was so much better than if we'd got the flowers professionally done. Gran would have never tolerated paying for something we could have done for ourselves anyway. She was a child of the Depression. I remember she once found a pile of socks and undies belonging to my husband, Jono, that was destined for the bin because they had holes in them. Gran would have none of it, telling me she would mend them. I remonstrated, telling her I could buy a new pair for a couple of dollars and it wouldn't be worth her time to mend them, but she insisted and proceeded to mend the whole pile. Jono never forgot it, and every time he had holes in his socks, he would say, "Should I save these for when your Gran's here next?" I would insist on throwing them away, but one year he told her, and she was angry with me, telling Jono to make sure that he saved them for her repairs next time she came. Speaking of next time, it became a bit of a standing joke that every time Gran came over to Melbourne, she would say, "That's the last time, I'm never coming again." But maybe because I kept having more babies, she kept coming to meet the next great-grandchild. I will be forever grateful for the effort that she made to come across the globe and invest in relationship with our 4 children. They all remember and loved very much Big Grandma. She's also gifted them with many beautiful handmade jumpers and dresses for the girls. Tonight, I'm wearing my favourite Gran jumper, and my girls regularly wear one of her famous smocks, either made specifically for them or often wearing dresses that Gran made for me when I was a little girl. The last time she came to Melbourne, I think it was her 11th or 12th trip, was just before COVID. She was with us for Christmas and most of January, and although she was 95, she still stockpiled the traditional mayonnaise and cucumber pickle before she left. It was horrendous being so far away during COVID, and we are so grateful for the company and care that Judy gave her, especially during that time. Gran was an absolute legend. She taught us all so much and is honestly one of the people I admire most in the whole world. She was an amazing gran and mother. And I think my mum has been the incredible grandma she is to my kids because she appreciated so much the help that Gran gave to her. Gran loved Jesus. She was never preachy about it, but her deep faith was evident in the way she nurtured and cared for us, the way she served other people, and had a patient and tolerant way about her. Gran was never afraid of dying and was secure that she would end up in heaven with her God. I have no doubt I will see her again when it's my turn to go, and I hope that in the meantime, I can live up to her example in the way I raise and care for my family. Love you, Gran.
Folks, this is a tribute from Claire's brother James. I would also like to share a tribute from James, Gran's last grandchild living in Melbourne, Australia. Dear Gran, my early childhood memories mostly revolve around you feeding me. Being made food has and always will be my love language, and I think that is clearly down to you. I remember sneaking to your and Bida's house when I was about 7 years old, just a few kilometers up the road, enticed by meals full of meat while I was reluctantly on a vegetarian diet at home. You told me that if I didn't eat meat, I wouldn't grow. Well, Gran, I wish you had got to me a bit sooner. I don't think you ever made me any kind of meal, no matter how simple it was, that didn't taste like a Michelin star dish. You made the best toasted sandwiches in the world. I call them snackwidges, and it's not like I never had a snackwidges before, but eating yours was akin to a religious experience. I felt like royalty. Here I was, an insignificant little kid, watching his revered grandmother spend her time making him the most amazing food. And then you gave me the worst present I had ever received. You gave me a snackwidge maker for my birthday. I am sorry for being less than impressed. It wasn't just because I received a kitchen utensil for my birthday present, but the fact that I had to make it myself, and that you wouldn't be the one making them for me. The list of iconic meals is endless. The chicken roasts, lamb roasts, pink chicken, cottage pie. I will never forget your Sunday roasts, always a highlight of the week. I remember feeling so respected when you treated me like an adult, sitting with the grown-ups, brushing up my table manners. And just when you could see I was getting bored by the adult conversation, you would give me a Chinese bangle, tied to regain my attention. After dinner, there were always the card games to look forward to, twos and eights and rummy, and of course, your nightcap cup of tea. I vividly remember arriving at your house to watch the final day of the Sydney Test match at 4 in the morning. We all assumed you would be in bed with only Bida up. But there you were to welcome us, wide awake, with a smile on your face, and quickly bustling into the kitchen to prepare tea, laced with 20 cups of sugar and biscuits. There were so many adventures that you took us on. The cousins on Pittard, the acorn fights amongst the hay bales was probably my favorite memory. And Breda River adventure were standouts. I remember you teaching me how to gut a fish. No grandson could have asked for a more loving, doting grandmother. Thank you for your unconditional and underlying love to me and the whole family. In particular, thank you for passing on some of your cooking skills to my mum. I am so sorry I was not there to hold your hand and say goodbye. It was an honor and a privilege to have you in my life. Love, James. Those who remember Gran will know how much time she spent giving to others. Meals on Wheels, knitting blankets for charities, sewing for the Clothing Guild that gifts a brand new item for clothing to its recipients each year. Cake baking and her famous pickled fish for her church, the Holy Trinity, and caring for damaged seabirds. A richly lived life. Gran was full of life and energy. She flew all solo 5 times to Australia, spending precious time with her grandchildren and meeting her Aussie great-grandchildren. It's a 24-hour journey, not for the faint-hearted. But she slowed down in the past few years. Our family would like to pay tribute to her carer, Elizabeth Pontac, who worked for Gran for 10 years, giving her both practical and moral support. Also to Judy, who initially took to visiting Gran when in the area. Their friendship developed, and Gran began to find in Judy a great friend and surrogate daughter. Without Judy's increasing help and care, Gran would have been unable to remain in her cottage, as she was so determined to do. On behalf of us all who lived away from Cape Town, thank you, Judy and Elizabeth.
Thank you to all of you who shared with us those wonderful memories. I want to invite you into a space of silence so that you can just spend some time with what we've heard, and also just reflect on your own memories of Elizabeth in your life. I will get a piece just now I've got my own special slot coming up. But I do just want to say, when you said it's a long way to Oz in the plane, I was on my way there with my wife on one occasion, and I was sitting next to a mother with a baby and another child who was about 3. I'd already warned my wife and said, look, I hope we don't sit next to anybody with a baby, but this baby was fine, because it is a long flight. And at some point, the mother went off to feed the baby, and the little girl started talking to me. And the one thing that I remember she said, it's a long way from Sydney to Johannesburg, and we're not doing it again. Well, I'm glad, I'm pretty sure that you guys in Melbourne are very happy that Elizabeth did it again and again and again. So let's just spend a while in silence. And now to sing When I Survey the Wondrous Cross. Please be seated. I want to begin with a quote that some of you have heard before because I used it here on another occasion. And it's from Albert Einstein. And it goes like something like this. Do not grow old, no matter how long you live. Never cease to stand like curious children before the great mystery into which we were born. And today we're here because part of that mystery is absence. Part of that mystery is moving into other realms. And I know that for Elizabeth, when Philippa and Michael moved to Oz, to that realm, at least she was able to go there from time to time. We don't have that option in this situation. But I mention it because it seems to me that part of this great mystery is that we may not be able to get to see her, but we are able to get to her, if that makes sense. The older I get, the more thin the veil that kind of hangs between this life and the next becomes for me. And the physical absence of another loved one, we've all lost loved ones, physical absence, is somehow replaced by an awareness that this life process just continues, even though there is no physical presence. And I want to encourage you to live in that awareness as you process Elizabeth's physical absence. Live in that awareness that everything that you've been speaking about, not the food, but what lies behind that. The compassion, the generosity, all of that. It's still here. It's still with you. The passage that Judy read to us had a kind of a life sequence written into it. It started with suffering, which is something which none of us really like, which leads to perseverance, which is a bit nicer, which leads to building our characters, which is even nicer, and that leads to hope. Hope is something that is kind of beyond our reach, and yet we are part of the pathway to that hope. And it seems to me that Elizabeth lived that truth from time to time. I mean, within her life. Because she could see that there were things that were not as she would have liked. Oily penguins is an example. And it might be a flippant example, but it was something that she felt that she could help resolve. And so her hope for something better, as we look at her, and thank you, Elizabeth, for these examples, as we look at her, her hope for something better was attended by doing what she could to bring about that hope into a place of reality. And that's an invitation that she makes to us today for anything that we hope for. That there is some piece of the fulfillment of that hope that usually we can contribute. And so it is that Hope's sister prayer has its place in a very similar way. We are invited from time to time, and Elizabeth, I can kind of still see her. I think she used to sit over there somewhere. And she'd be here on a regular basis. And when I say regular basis, I think I've been in and out of Holy Trinity for 30 odd years, so I've seen her over that time. Not recently, but yes. And that would be something that she did. Came to be here in order to prepare herself to be part of the answer to her prayers. And so thank you, Elizabeth, for that example, for that stamp of the divine on your life. And I want to encourage us all to, if we take anything away as a gift from Elizabeth today, that we might take that. Of somebody who is willing to have hope, willing to pray, but at the same time being willing to find a way to contribute to the fulfillment of her hope, the answer to her prayers. And I think part of that capacity in us to do that lies in what Einstein said, that we never cease to stand like curious children before the great mystery into which we were born. Because curiosity is an alive and wonderful gift. So Elizabeth, thank you for your curiosity in life. Thank you for all the ways in which you have been remembered today. And God, we give you thanks that you constantly draw us into new places, into opportunities to be you in your world. Now Lisa's going to come and read to us.
A reading from John 14, 1 through 6. Jesus said to his disciples, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. You have faith in God, have faith also in me. In my Father's house there are many dwelling places. If there were not, would I have told you that I'm going to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back again and take you to myself, so that where I am, you also may be. Where I am going, you know the way." Thomas said to him, "But Master, we do not know where you are going. How do we know the way?" Jesus said to him, "I am the way, and the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me."
Thanks, Lisa. Okay, we bring our celebration to a close in singing Psalm 23, which is written on the back of the leaflet. We've got a few more verses to sing this time. Lord, bless us and watch over us. Lord, make your face shine on us and be gracious to us. Lord, look kindly on us and give us peace. Now you're invited to refreshments and a chat in the hall behind here, straight after the service. For those of you who can't stay for that, Philippa and others will be there to greet you as you go out. Thank you for being here.